Unlocking local finance to close Nigeria's energy access gap is our focus today in Power Solutions with a time at 11:32. Well, you know, every Monday at this time you have two Africans on the radio.
Two blonde Africans.
Yeah, absolutely. On the radio to discuss Power Solutions. And I'm the African from Cameroon. You know, and Wiebe, my co-host, the African who reps Niger to the fullest. We both rep Niger though, but on this program here we separate for a bit. And good to see you, Wiebe.
Good to see you, Colin. So as you can see, for those who can see, who aren't on just radio, I'm wearing my Super Eagles jersey.
Yeah.
So we qualified.
Yep.
We beat Benin.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow we're gonna thrash Lesotho. So, I mean, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully indeed. And I look forward to it. It's always a delight to have Nigeria, the Super Eagles, or the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon represent, the African continent, whether or not be in a competition, whether it's the African Cup of Nations or any, because we are sure that there's going to be a masterpiece.
Well, and the next tournament is in Cameroon. So if Nigeria plays Cameroon in the final, who are you supporting, man?
Man, I've always been in that position, right?
Okay.
That I have to now start choosing where do I go to? Where do I support?
So you win or lose either way.
Either way, I win or lose. If Nigeria wins, great.
Yeah.
Cameroon wins, it's still great.
Yeah.
And that's been our experience. So let's get into our talk today.
Okay, all right. So Olusegun is waiting for us. I think he's in Abuja. But our guest today is Olusegun Odunaiya, who is the CEO and founder of Havenhill Synergy. It's one of the sort of most advanced mini-grid companies in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And so he's joining with us from Abuja because he has a big milestone that we're going to talk about. It seems he can't hear us. Olusegun, can you hear us now?
Can Olusegun hear us? Looks like he cannot hear us just yet. We try to fix that and be sure that, he can hear us, and then we get into the conversation. But like I mentioned, would have our talk on, I mentioned it, that would have our talk on unlocking local finance to close Nigeria's energy access gap. Sometimes it's very important to even just find out how wide is this gap? How wide is this energy access gap?
It's big. So it's more than so 80 million Nigerians are not on the grid.
80 million Nigerians.
It's the largest energy access gap of any country in the world.
Whoa.
So I know, Nigeria's been doing really well, in entertainment and sports and all that. And this is one where the number is big and we're number one, but it's number one for the wrong reasons.
80 million Nigerians not have access. Guys, you know what that means? That 80 million of our brothers and sisters in Nigeria are cut off. That's more or less like alienation. Like you're in this world. You are not living. You're just existing, and it's a big problem. And that's why we bring it to the fore from time to time to, talk to the players who are playing their role to ensure that this gap. This access gap, energy access gap, is bridged, is brought in, is closed closely so that we have no gap at all.
Exactly.
And one of such our guests is one of such persons, key players, is of course Olusegun Odunaiya, who is the CEO of Havenhill Synergy Limited. And we try to connect with the sound to ensure that he can hear us loud and clear. If he can hear us now, we're ready to bring him on. Can you hear us, our guest? Well, you can. Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us, guys. We're trying to connect that via Skype, and sometimes these connections come with some challenges, but it's going to be a great conversation. For every Nigerian listening to us right there, if you were going to describe your power experience, your access to power experience, what would you say? How would you describe it? Would you say, no, I want you to use a Nigerian way of expressing things to tell us? All right. Will it be a confirm or, or what else? What else? I mean, someone help me. My street lingo just eluded me right now. But as long as I can remember, whatever way. But how would you describe your experience access? I know the first thing everyone say, they don't bring lights. There's either the light is either insufficient or you thank God if you have 12 hours of light. It's like, hey, 12 hours. I mean,
that shouldn't be a thing.
It shouldn't be a thing. I mean, we should have power, 247. Now, there's an area, even though in most African countries, they are going through the same thing, but the Nigerian situation is so peculiar and so, I don't know what is it about the population? I don't know. So many questions to ask. But I remember growing up in a small town in Boer, before they take electricity, the government would announce that we're going to have power, outage between this time and this time. And even in my village, I could hear that on the radio and prepare myself. So it was strange to see that there's no electricity. It was strange, except if you do not have access, maybe as a result of maybe there are no poles in your area and nobody has come to put infrastructure. But in areas where there was electricity provided by the government, growing up in Cameroon, they would do an announcement before any outage for hours, even if it's going to be for 1 hour. My experience in Nigeria has never been like that. You never know. In fact, at some point, my little kid knew when to say lights. And he sees the lights. Oh, there's lights. I'm like, okay, lights. So, there was darkness. And so, I mean, it's very, very annoyingly so. And that's why conversations around fixing the power problem must be taken seriously. And that's one of the things we're doing here today on the show, while we get set to connect with our guests.
So you're saying that in Cameroon, actually, the power sector is much better?
When I was there.
Okay.
I don't know what it is now.
Okay.
But growing up, I never had one. And I didn't live in the city center. I lived in Boer, which is a small town.
I know, I've been there.
You've been to Boer,
yeah,
right? Great.
When I was 8 years old, yeah.
Oh, great. You talk that's true.
Yeah,
I mean, you saw the mountain, right?
Yes.
You love it.
Yes.
We need to go back there.
We will, yeah.
So there was never a time that you take out lights and then, or there will be power and then the government will announce.
Yeah.
No, they'll only announce,
Yeah.
but they'll bring it when they need to. And there was 24 hours power.
Yeah.
Always. I grew up that way. So, I don't know what it is now.
Yeah.
But that was the experience.
Yeah.
And then in Nigeria, of course, the story is different for most people, if not everyone.
So, obviously, as we grew up, it got worse, actually.
Yeah.
But where I lived in Jos, we were like 5 kilometers from where the operational area of a company called Nesco ended.
Oh.
And everyone under Nesco, I think it was Nigeria Electric Supply Company, was the only private power company at the time, had 24/7 power. And my friends used to tell me, like, if they were going to do some kind of, maintenance and your power would be off for 2 hours on a Sunday, they would actually send you a letter and a gift, to say, sorry, our dear customer, power is going to be off for 2 hours, and all that. And those guys...
In Jos, in Nigeria?
Well, on the rural area outside Jos, yeah. And so guys who lived in places like Bukuru, Vom, they don't know what we're talking about. They have 27 power. They still do. And
where did we miss it, ladies and gentlemen? We must fix this. And that's why Power Solutions is here. Yeah. Now, for those who are listening, I wanted to bring you up to speed. If our guests can hear us now, you could give us a thumbs up. Did I hear yes?
Shegun, are you there?
Are you with us, Shegun?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Finally, he's here.
This one isn't power problem. This one is now internet problem. I don't know what's going on. Shegun, are you in the village with the mini grid, or where are you? Why can't we hear you?
Oh, there you go again. Well, okay, these things do happen from time to time. It's 11:41. While we get to fix Shegun's sound and to ensure that we can hear loud and clear, Lagos, if you're listening to us, we want you to subscribe. You can call or send a WhatsApp message or view us live on Facebook where we're streaming. You can tell us your power experience. Describe your power experience in 3 words. Let me not say one, because if I say one, in 3 words, describe your power experience. Your access to power, to lights. Let me use Nigerian parlance. Describe it in 3 words. So you can send a message to us on WhatsApp, 0809 597 5805. Your personal power experience in 3 words. Wherever you are in the world listening to us, wherever you are in Nigeria, beg your pardon, listening to us, let us know what your power experience is like. I mean, how we describe your power experience in the past couple of years, or your lifetime here in Nigeria. How would you describe it? We'd like to know. Well, we have word that Olusegun Odunaiya is with us finally. And I hope the sound is clear now. Hello, can you hear me? Okay, you have to unmute.
It looks
you
like-
have to unmute
it looks like
your
you're on
sound.
mute.
Yeah, you have to unmute your sound so we
Okay,
can.
let's hear now.
Hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
yes!
Wow. Mungo de
Yes!
Allah. Okay. Hey. All right. So Shegun. Now your time went quickly, so we're gonna have to go fast now.
Yep.
But you're in Abuja, right? Is that correct? Are you in Abuja?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
Okay, fantastic.
The sound is still a bit off. So just say, okay, tell us a little bit then about your background and your company. Just give us a brief update on how you got into solar and what your company does.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for the uh,
Okay, the sound is we can't hardly hear you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I said my background is physics, and so I started the day I graduated from university. I've spent years and planning both the classroom. I think today we are providing power backup solutions to residential customers. Within and
Okay.
water is
All right.
and
All right.
we are
Shegun, we can't hear you. It's just going on and off.
It's going on and off still, and yes, that's a challenge, which we'll try and get that fixed. But your sound goes off and on, like it's we're hearing a part of what you're saying and not. I don't know what already you could check that and see if we can increase the volume and then make sure the connection is right. Lagos, we apologize for this. We would like for you to bear with us for a minute. We'll fix that and then get this conversation going. But don't forget what I asked you to do is about you send us a message of your power experience. How would you describe it in 3 words? All right, I'd like to know how you describe it. We'll check that out. All right, while we get to fix that, are you back, Shegun? Are you back?
Yes, I'm here. I'm joining via the phone. I don't know if you can hear me.
Okay, yes, better now. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so as I was saying, over the years we started with power backup solution for residential customers in Togo and state, and from there we were able to pivot to building our first mini grid in 2017. While I was doing all that, I also supported some UN agencies as a solar consultant, helping them to streamline the operation, put projects, especially at the border town of Nigeria. And so my background has been from understanding renewable energy technology, then doing projects, physical projects that transform the lives of people, and also taking it a step further in helping shape their decision.
All right. I mean, there we have. But just ensure that the mic is very close to you, and if it's a hands-free mic, you might need to press it and hold it. Yes, because that's where. Oh, that's you're using that Bluetooth. You might need to hold on. I don't know. Press it and hold it for the sound to be stable. What it fluctuates, and that's because as you move, it misses some parts. I could hear the voice under, but it's not as clear. Yeah, but yeah, great. So that's better. So for those who are just joining us, we have a Olusegun Odunaiya, who's of Havenhill Synergy Limited, and he just gave us a bit of a background of his story in the solar industry, and we will have more questions for him, and I think Wiebe has the next one.
Yeah. So Shegun, I've actually visited one of the mini grid communities that you did in Abuja in FCT. Just and that was probably 2 years ago now. But what has it done over time to these communities? I mean, when before you came, they had no light, no chance of ever having light connection to the grid or anything, and you came in, and now they have 24/7 power. After 2-3 years, what is it like? Have these communities transformed?
Thank you for that question, Doctor. Interesting, we've seen impacts at an unimaginable degree. We've seen rural migration.
Mm-hmm.
People migrating from the neighboring community that does not have electricity to this particular community that has electricity. And for us, what you would typically see is a rural-urban migration.
Right.
But we see people, because electricity in itself is a base infrastructure, it transforms, the entirety of the community. We've also seen how people's lives have been transformed. A case in point is a woman called Mrs. Blessing, who had nothing she was doing before the mini grid came into the community. But by bringing the mini grid into the community, providing her with electricity, and then giving her an appliance finance. We bought her a fridge. This lady now makes a decent income. She can send her children to school and she can have, some savings. There's another guy called Bashir who used to spend about 1,000 naira on fueling his generator on a daily basis because he was doing phone charging business and also, doing barbing salon. Now he spends about 3,000 naira on a monthly basis. So he's able to save about 20-something thousand naira. He has employed someone who manages the business and he has gone back to school to further his education. For us, that is impact, that is unimaginable, that you probably not see if you had done such a project for maybe a customer within the urban area. And so we've seen how we've provided over 50 appliances, welding machine, freezers, television, for productive use and for residential customers to people across our communities. We've seen how their standard of living has improved. The hospitals within the communities, how they're able to do basic, carry out healthcare services, with electricity. And we know that as we scale and as we build more projects, we'll be able to see this impact, on a large scale.
And the communities I know you were with at that time were relatively close to Abuja. I mean, they were an hour and a half drive from, Nigeria's capital, and yet there was no prospect for them to ever get on the grid. Is that still where you're working? Are your new mini grids all in that cluster, or have you spread to other parts of Nigeria?
So within that cluster, we have 3 mini grids now, which are within 2 kilometers from each other. But our new projects are spread across Oyo State and Kwara State and Osun State. Those are the communities, the states we are focusing on for this phase of scale.
Okay. So before Collins jumps in, I just the key thing that we wanted to discuss on this call and at the show, and it's too bad that the sound wasn't good, but one of the major issues that companies like yours face is actually unlocking local finance, and you guys just raised. You have to get where's the shaker? This is big. $4.5 million. $4.5 million from the infrastructure fund of Chapel Hill Denham, right? So
Wow.
this is actually the first, I think, major funding like that from a fully sort of local finance house. So Segun, I mean, very
Wow.
well done, awesome.
Thank you.
We're very proud of you. But how did that happen? How did you convince Bolaji Balogun and his team to give you the money to write the check?
So as you know, that you are even black. It's a major challenge raising funding.
Okay.
And then coupled with the economic situation in the country, everybody is skeptical. The exchange rate and all those things like that. But we over the years, especially from 2019, after we've tried several approaches that did not work, we sat down and put an information memo together that really depicts the kind of structure that we wanted to do. And then we went all out, discussing that structure with, financiers. And one of them is NIDF. And then we took them, explaining to them the kind of structure we want to do, how we want to structure the deal, the kind of financing we are looking for. Yes, it took us about 16 months, but we finally made it happen. Of course, we had to show them data from, existing projects. We showed them what is possible if we scale. We were able to crash, our capex, we did RFQ to more than 30 manufacturers, and we saw how we could, drop our costs if we build at scale. So we're able to put all those things together. And then, of course, for NIDF being, the first infrastructure fund in Africa, they were keen to get into this space. They've done, big scale utility projects, gas and all those things like that. And so they found, this project interesting. And most importantly, we should not forget that there is subsidy on the table, because this project is to leverage on the NDP subsidy. So that helps bridge, the viability gaps and some of the perceived risks, that might be associated with projects like this. But it took us 16 months thereabout, but at least we finally did. And that this funding will help us to build additional 22 mini grids across 2 states, serving about 70,000 population, and that should be done in another 6 to 7 months.
Wow. Okay.
Wow, 6 to 7 months.
Yeah.
Now, one other thing that I want to ask about you is that we heard that Havenhill, that's you and your team, has charged itself to provide. We'll ask that question after this break. All right, it has to do with what you hope to achieve by 2025. We'll get back to that shortly.
The social cultural issues in Nigeria, whilst weaving you through the lunchtime traffic of Lagos. Join me, Eriti Bakare Yusuf, every Friday
1 to 2:30 p.m.
on Nigeria Info 99.3 FM, your number one station for talk. Now let's talk.
My people, how far now? See, if any kind person say you want the coded password for your bank app, I be your PIN, I be your card PIN, I be the TIN number where they for the back of your card, your pay ID, I be the answer for your security question. I beg not give them all. All this information, them supposed they coded. You're not supposed to share them with anybody. Make you wise up. Not make that scam you. This message now from Kuda Microfinance Bank, the bank of the free. Make you download Kuda for Play Store or for App Store to open account. Make you start to enjoy our wolf banking.
Time for Conversations is a 90-minute interactive magazine show augmented by special guest interviews. We'll be exploring the socio-political and the socio-cultural issues in Nigeria whilst weaving you through the lunchtime traffic of Lagos. Join me, Eriti Bakare Yusuf, every Friday
1 to 2:30 p.m.
on Nigeria Info 99.3 FM, your number one station for talk. Now let's talk.
I am Simone Cipriani.
And I'm Claire Press.
You are listening to the Ethical Fashion Podcast.
Get ready for another season of the EFI podcast series.
Change starts at the grassroots level from the collective efforts of people
Premiering next week, and with Africa at its heart, this 12-episode series will explore topics relevant today more than ever.
The systems that we live in are operating with 100% efficiency to how
through the voice of African creatives and leaders. Hosted by Simone Cipriani and Claire Press, the series explores issues driving the conversation around ethical fashion. The discussions featuring African leaders and creatives range from female power and wildlife conservation to African entrepreneurship. Right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Welcome back to your number one talk, news, and sports station. This is Nigeria Info.
It is Nigeria Info. We're live on Power Solutions, wrapping up the conversation now with the one who represents Havenhill Synergy Limited. He's the CEO, Olusegun Odunaiya. He just spoke to us, and we're talking about unlocking the local finance to close Nigeria's energy access gap, and he's with us now. Before we went on that necessary break, I was going to ask you that you've charged yourself, that's Havenhill has charged itself with the vision of providing electricity to over 1 million Nigerians by 2025. Where are you on this now, and what are your connection numbers?
$10,000 population with 4 mini grids.
Okay.
We are currently serving 10,000 population with about 4 mini grids.
All right.
With the funding we've closed, we are going to push the number of population we're serving to 150,000 before the end of this year. And with a goal of doing 1 million population by 2025, and with the kind of investors and the kind of funding that we have access to, we believe that though it's ambitious, but it's doable. Our next ticket round is to double the number of mini grids we are building, and we continue to build not just within the off grid, but under the grid, and even interconnected mini grids project. So it's doable, and the team that is working on this are working day and night just to ensure that we're able to hit that milestone. And even if we don't hit it, we will still give ourselves a pat on the back, because it's not easy to do these kind of things in Nigeria.
So just to follow up on that, and then this probably is our last question, unfortunately. We've had a number of guests recently, from one was from India, one from Cambodia, and I think someone, with experience in Tanzania.
Yeah.
And they keep commenting that the Nigerian regulatory environment for solar and off-grid is actually very, very good, and it's attractive to them why they're coming here. Now, you are Nigerian. This is your market. What is your view on that? How supportive has the government been? How supportive are the regulations for you and what you're trying to do to bring energy access?
Thank you, Doctor. So my opinion is that the mini-grid regulation that was passed in 2016 is one of the best regulations in Africa today. Okay. While there is room for improvement, we won't really do much until we begin to scale. Until we begin to interact with that regulation, that is when we can actually experience it. For example, when the regulations was written in 2016 or was passed in 2016, you could barely find megawatt scale projects in the country. But the regulation caps, our mini grid to 1 megawatt. So imagine in another, 3-4 years when several developers will begin to do projects in megawatt scale. Imagine all of us going to next to get a license for that project. So as we begin to use the regulation, as we begin to test the regulation, as we begin to interact with the regulation, we'll begin to see things that needs to develop. For example, what really happens when a disco expands into a mini-grid community? Yes, the regulation talks about that. There should be compensation and all those things like that. But we've not really tested it. So until that begins to happen, but on paper and what we've seen at the moment, I can build a mini-grid, without getting a permit until I'm done building, which is good. Unlike if I have to get a permit, I have to go through the regulatory approval before I start the project. So the regulation is good, but there's room for improvement. And as we scale, we would see that the adjustments that needs to be put into the regulation, can be done as we begin to have, conversations with the regulators.
Perhaps we would have you for a part 2. We have to go now. Thank you so much, Olusegun Odunaiya, for speaking with us today on Power Solutions. And Wiebe, thanks for being a part of this.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
You bet. All right. Have a great week, and thanks for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Right. The news is on standby. The newsroom is on standby to bring you Africa's most authentic news bulletin. Wemimo Adewuni is on standby to deliver that. This is why I walk away and say bye. Wiebe?
All right, bye, and good luck to the Super Eagles tomorrow.
Good luck to them.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.